Hello there! My name is Tanner, and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Just want to let you guys know before we move on that my dad is working on construction downstairs, so if you hear any weird noises in the background, that's probably why. Now that we've got that out of the way, today's video is going to be the third in a series where I talk about my fantasy world as a whole in preparation to talking about some of the characters I created specifically for that fantasy world. So the first video in my series was about the lore and the different character archetypes you'll find in this world, and the second video was about the magic system. Not that there's much of a system. The links to both of these videos are up in the cards and in the description if you haven't caught up yet. So this week I wanted to talk about some of the magical creatures that are original to my world, as opposed to the ones that I simply took from mythology and added some of my creative flair to them. These entries, for the sake of simplicity, will be in alphabetical order. So without further delay, here is My Fantasy World Part 3. Number the first, Bookworm. Now in my fantasy world, bookworms are a group of insectoid beings that, like most insect creatures, go through several stages in life. Now, bookworms are specifically the first stage, which take the forms of human caterpillar hybrids, with green skin, blue compound eyes, with glasses-like markings around the eyes, mandibles in their mouths, and a caterpillar-like lower body. Bookworms feed on things like books and scrolls, and will eat as much informational material they can find. Now, when bookworms reach their form of puberty, they will create a papier-mâché-like cocoon around themselves, where they'll lay dormant until they hatch into their final form, which I like to call bookerflies. These tend to look like green-skinned, humanoid, blue-eyed butterflies, again with glasses-like markings around their eyes, antennae that look like writing quills, 4 arms with 4-fingered hands, with ink coming out of all 16 fingertips, insect-like legs and feet, and butterfly-like wings that look to be made of paper, with shifting words and letters all over them. Creature the second, Eruptophant. Now, Eruptophants are magical relatives of mundane elephants, and look mostly like their mundane cousins, except for reddish-orange skin, stony growths on their backs, legs, tail, and trunk, obsidian tusks and toenails, and the magical ability to manipulate fire, rock, lava, smoke, and noxious gases. Like volcano gases, not like normal bodily function gases. Creature the third, Fluorovolta. Now, like Eruptophants, Fluorovoltas are magical relatives of mundane foxes, but instead of the trademark reddish-orange fur that normal foxes have, Fluorovoltas have bright green fur with the texture of grass, and they have various types of flowers growing on their backs. Now, they're able to manipulate these flowers, as well as other flowers around them, are both carnivorous and photosynthetic, and they can both generate pollen to distract and perfume to entice. Creature the fourth, Harleykin. In my fantasy world, Harleykins are members of the Fae that were the original inspiration for one of my biggest fears, that being clowns. Like the other members of the Fae, Harleykin tend to possess pointed ears, but they also have various facial markings and distinctions that betray their clownish nature, which differ between individuals. These include, but aren't limited to, wild-colored hair and eyes, bulbous red noses, red markings around their lips, different colored markings all over their faces, etc. Harleykin are a chaotic race, to say the least, who believe life is but a game, and they use their games and pranks to spread laughter, which they feed on, like a vampire feeds on blood, or a zombie feeds on brains. However, there are some Harleykin who feed on fear instead, as fear is like a very, very addictive drug to them. They also possess various magical powers, including, but not limited to, cartoon physics, giving them the various abilities that are typically associated with cartoons, elasticity, and miming, causing different effects based on anything they, well, mime. Creature the fifth, Invisiguise. Now, the inspiration for the Invisiguise was actually Elliot the Dragon from Pete's Dragon, specifically the 2016 version as opposed to the original version. Essentially, I came up with the idea that that version of Elliot specifically was a hybrid of a dragon and an Invisiguise. Invisiguises in my world basically look like hybrids of dogs and lions with bright green fur and the magical ability to become invisible. Creature the sixth, Land Shark. Land sharks in my world are pretty much what it says on the tin. Magical relatives of sharks that swim through land as opposed to water. They're also much larger, with slightly more spherical bodies, stony spike arrangements where their gills would be, rocky growths on their fins, stone-like teeth, and sandy-colored scales, with darker stripes and spots modeling them. Creature the seventh, Megafauna. Now, Megafauna is an umbrella term that essentially is any animal that you might find in the realm of the giants, which are relatively identical to any other more mundane animal, other than the fact that they are much, much, much bigger. Essentially, imagine insects and rodents that are big enough to ride on, and cats and dogs that see you as prey and or chew toys. Yikes. Creature the eighth, Rabbat. Now, rabbats are basically the vampires of the rabbit world. They take the forms of mundane rabbits that are mostly white, but with black markings in various places, bright red eyes, bat-like fangs, ears that have scalloped edges to make them look more like bat wings, and, well, bat wings on their backs. They're still herbivorous like mundane rabbits, but, like vampires, they tend to only drink the juice that they can suck out of the vegetables and fruits that they feed on. Creature the ninth, Shade. Now, shades are spirits that I created that were inspired by another film from the House of Mouse, specifically The Princess and the Frog. Shades are essentially living shadows without owners. They tend to take whatever form suits them, whether that is humanoid, animalistic, amorphous, etc. They have different abilities, such as the various powers of a ghost, shadow and darkness manipulation, interacting with shadows in order to manipulate physical items, etc. However, they do have one weakness. Being made of living shadow, it only makes sense that shades can be easily dispelled by bright lights. Finally, creature the 10th, Sky Whales. Ah, the sky whale. Yet another creature that's basically what it says on the tin. Sky whales are magical relatives to mundane whales that swim through the sky as opposed to the ocean. They tend to look like the various species of normal whales, but with fins that look like they have feathered wings without actually having feathered wings, as well as normal nostrils as opposed to blowholes. And there we have it. That was part 3 in my series detailing my fantasy world. Now, if you thought the descriptions of these creatures went by a little too quickly or weren't as detailed as you would have liked, I'll put the links to the respective articles on my website in the description below. If you liked this video and you want more, please give this video a like and subscribe down below so you don't miss any new videos. Also, if you have any other ideas for anything you want to see in future videos, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and it might just happen. Alright, well, that's all the time I have for this video, so I'll see you all next week with the first group of characters that I created. See ya then!